with the latest announcement around the involvement of academics and senior lawyers that can now be directly appointed to the Constitutional Court bench. It's the first time that this will be allowed in years. Let's get some insight on this, joined now by Attorney and Judges Matter Coordinator Alison Tilley. Alison, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on this evening. As I'm reading, I'm saying it's the first time it hasn't been done in years. And I'm thinking to myself, could it have been done previously, maybe many, many years ago?
Yes, well, the first Constitutional Court, of course, had academics on it, and that was a successful experiment. But since then, I think the view of the Chief Justices has really been that they want to see judges on the Constitutional Court. And so, it has been the case that for a long time we haven't seen academics either acting on the Constitutional Court or being appointed to the court. So this is really big news for Constitutional Court watchers.
So how would you then explain the rationale of this coming about now?
Well, it has come about in a slightly odd way. We've always held the view that it would be completely appropriate to appoint academics to the Constitutional Court. But the Chief Justice, in explaining it to us, was saying that, he had been finding that there weren't enough candidates who were coming forward for the Constitutional Court, and they were finding they were advertising and not getting sufficient applicants, and that he had reflected on that and decided that he would open it up to constitutional experts. And of course, he makes the point that it's difficult to become a constitutional expert and be a working judge because you have to deal with so many different matters. And so the idea is there'll be some acting academics, and those academics have agreed they'll make themselves available in the April round for 2025.
What is going to be
2024?
What is going to be the criteria then for selecting these academics and practitioners for consideration?
So we did ask that question, and the answer is effectively it's not going to be the sort of criteria that you use in assessing academics. So National Research Foundation status or publication record. It's really going to more be a question of the people that the Chief Justice, having consulted with colleagues, has asked to put themselves forward, and that will be the first round of acting that we'll see for the hearings then in April 24.
Yeah. So it's purely going to be on peers. Recommending someone, maybe years of experience and maybe the type of cases that they are familiar with? Yes,
the Chief Justice doesn't go into detail, and so we're not clear on what exactly the criteria would be. What we do know is that he said that he wants constitutional law experts, so it will be people who have written and probably taught in the area of constitutional law, people who have published. So that's what we would be expecting. But as I said, the CJ didn't give us much more detail than that.
Does our Constitution allow that, or does it preclude non-judges from being appointed as justices?
No, not at all. The Constitution is actually quite clear where it says you have to be appropriately qualified and fit and proper. And actually, that's very broad. The development of this idea that you have to be a judge, you have to have acted as a judge on the Constitutional Court is something that is a bit of a sort of almost a policy decision, I'd have to say. And at the moment, the Chief Justice is saying that that's not really working out because they're not getting enough applicants for the Constitutional Court. There is, of course, another question to be asked, which is, well, why aren't judges coming forward for appointment to the Constitutional Court. It is the apex court. It's the most prestigious court. What's going wrong there? So I think there are questions to be asked about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anecdotally, if you take a look at it at a glance, we've got some great legal minds in the country, in some instances, who would be magistrates in other courts and other places and so on and so forth. So one can necessarily say we are lacking talent within the ranks. What's your impression?
Oh, no. I think we do have talent, but I think what we've seen in the JSC in this round is that, there are excellent jurists who are, in the first rank of lawyers amongst us, and they have not been appointed. And in this case, it was the Supreme Court of Appeal, where there were 2 positions left vacant, even though there were good candidates. So I think it's not a question of there not being the talent or the experience. There's something going on in the appointment of judges and the appointment of judges in the JSC that seems to be going wrong.
Yeah. Does the Chief Justice have a point here? He says some of the candidates will already probably have constitutional law knowledge, but not experience because maybe they are appointed as judges of the High Court. Now that they will be allowed to act in the Constitutional Court, they might acquire then the necessary experience for the Apex Court, which would widen the pool for the 2024 interviews.
I think the difficulty is exactly that Constitutional Court cases don't come along every day. I mean, there is an argument to say that every case is a constitutional law case because the Constitution infuses all of our law. But I think what is happening is that, a lot of what judges deal with is divorces and liquidations and, contractual disputes. And they're really not having to decide major issues about whether legislation is constitutional or not. So you do end up with a situation where it's difficult for judges to get that kind of experience. And perhaps that's part of, that certainly is the CJ's theory that where you have experts in constitutional law, you can just bring them in, you can fast track them directly in to the Constitutional Court and then have that experience there and then tap it. Yeah. For the ordinary men listening, watching us this evening, how is this going to impact on them? Well, I think, we perhaps think of it all as all a bit rarefied and far away, but everybody who takes their ARVs, tonight, and everybody who goes out, confident that if there's a car accident that they'll receive relief. All of these things are happening within a framework which is created by the Constitutional Court. And these are all cases that we have relied on. We may not know that we're relying on them. But those cases inform many of the rules that we follow. They inform a lot of what government has to do and mustn't do. And I think it's really important for us to make sure that they really are the best of the best.
Attorney and Judges Matter Coordinator Alison Tilley, appreciate your time and thank you very much for coming on tonight here on In Focus.